Dreamland with your Sensie Owl Bob. How you doing? I'm doing just fine. I'm getting ready to go back to the deep green. It's still meaning instead of me being able to just get in my car and drive about 6 miles to a nice place that had good food and great Wi-Fi and interesting people, that's gone. And that was called Elks Mills, and it's wiped off the face of the earth, right? Took out also the fire department. If you were to go to YouTube and say Elks Mills, Tennessee, fire department wiped into the river, the Watauga River, washed away. Howdy, Jay. Thanks for your comments. I think they were yours. And don't believe a word I say. I tell you stories, right? And so when I told a story about the pilgrims, was it, an MLA, juried document? No. I was just telling you the story. But those guys did wipe out those Indians at top of the hill, and that's where the term Golden City on the top of the hill was, right, indeed. So today, first off, thanks for showing up, and how about some of those thumbs up? We like the likes, we like. And so also comments like Jay put up there, that was really sweet. They're always, Jay, you always give thoughtful comments that we can then build the conversation on, so I'm happy you're right here. We all get an opinion. Yep. Mm-hmm. So, and that's all my stuff is. It's not even an opinion. It's just a story, which is not even an opinion, Really, I don't believe in anything, right? I only have one thing, and that's faith. Faith is in my position as a slave to God's love. Now, everyone wants to anthropomorphize God into some big guy wearing a sheet up on a golden throne. That's how Johnny Boy, not our Johnny Boy, but the Johnny Boy who wrote the end times end of the Bible, which shouldn't have even been there, right? But, it was thrown in for advertising reasons. And, Elohim, that's the Hebrew name for God, the one we don't know, we can't even think of. He's got no name, right? And because there's so many other gods, that's one of the things. I'm the only one, right? Actually, it often make good sense to me. The whole Tartarian building things in America when the pilgrims arrived is new logic to me. Yep. Mm-hmm. So what we have is an opportunity. We can all, just and go along with the crowd, right? And you're going to end up just like Neo in The Matrix. I mean, we're already there. What's the thing about holograms, right? Every little bit of a hologram is the little bit of the whole bit, right? And that's what we got going on. We're all little bits. What we're not told. Yep. We're not told anything. We don't know squat, right? But it's right in front of us. It's not like it's invisible. It's right there, But nobody wants to see it because it's uncomfortable. I want my latte, I want that, I want my latte, I want it, at the right temperature with the goat milk, half cheese, half soy, fingernails of dead Palestinians. I want my latte, that's what I want. I want it. I don't know why I want it, but I was told to want it, right? And, in the three churches I go to, and all the people is really nice. Now, they're all like so focused on the event, and they're doing a great job. Everyone's working together. Even though, Red Cross and FEMA keep bothering, they don't bother us, right? We're more, the Army listens to us better than they listen to FEMA. So, and that's because everyone is doing their best to do their best, right? That is what is so great about what we're doing, right? And so everyone is donating tons of stuff to us. We get more stuff than, so we have loads of clothes, loads of this, loads of that, right? And so there are a lot of people who come in and just fill their arms full of stuff. And some people go, they're stealing this stuff. We're giving it away, And once in a while, they'll come and take a big ticket item like a generator or this, and, we need 10 of these. Not going to happen. One of them, sure, go ahead, take it. And we got a whole bunch of dehumidifiers, right? And so I was just giving them, I knew where these people lived, and I knew their house had been underwater. So, people, but that's well, if they take one, not a problem. They take 20, not going to happen. So that's how we're going. And so everyone is really focused in on that. And this is great. I mean, because this is our community center. We hit the ground, 3 days before the event, we got the key to get in. I wanted the key in May, so we'd be spinning like a top by now, but it didn't happen. So here we are doing this, and it's, we are serving the Lord's, work. But we're not like, you got to pray to Jesus to get a pair of socks. No, we're not doing that. You need it, take it, right? And, when we had the small little food bank, I mean, it wasn't small. We were feeding like 20,000 people, but we had boxes, and people would drive up but these people need more than just a box of canned food and some mac and cheese. So, I said, this is like Walmart. Just let them walk through. I'll keep an eye on things. And there are a few others who do their best to do the same. And so, but everyone else is, we have it so organized. It's unbelievable. So, and that's great. And that's because women are running it. And they are so much more organized than men are. Men are like, please. So there's a handful of us men who are, doing our best. And that is to follow the lead of the girls, right? And support them. You're doing a great job. That's my basic thing, right? And I give people little ideas and let them run with it, and they can take all the credit. And my newest idea is, okay, so what we going to do after this, right? So we're going to have Zoom medical care, right? Would have been nice if the county had kept the laptops that were in the computer lab, but they took them away and smashed them and threw them in a dumpster, right? I mean, they're like 1990 Dells, So, I mean, they were great for cruising the internet, right? And we still have a kitchen. They were going to take it all away, but it was stuff was too heavy, so they disconnected everything. It took the hot water heater away, and but we'll get a hot water heater. So those little things are no big deal, right? But what I really want to do is I want to enable the community to be a political force, not left, right, woke, or conservative or liberal or none of the above, right? But a community, right? And one of the things that is a real an ability to move forward is to have your own bank. It's savings and loans, right? George Bailey, right? And we did that in New York, in the Lower East Side, and that's why the Lower East Side became great, because we had an ability to have interest-free loans to people because it was their money, right? So that was, kind of, and it's like people are like, huh, whatever, I was too hard. I said, no, it's not. If me and 8 people, gather our pennies and got $12,000, that's about what you needed to start it. And we, did all the hoops of the bureaucratic thing and started a credit union. And now that credit union has $1 billion, probably has more. In 2011, it had $1 billion of assets. Right? All those 500 people's apartments, right? Because they got to own them, right? They weren't renting them, right? All they had to do was pay an electric bill, right? And after 10 years, they started paying a property tax that was, because it was part of a nonprofit housing authority. It's limited, right? So we could follow that same. I mean, that thing is still working. That's the amazing thing. That all of that is still. That's why the Lower East Side is, all the shops and stuff. It's not corporate. It's all the people who live there have the businesses, right? So that's kind of what that's my little trying to fairy dust that into everyone's mind. And whether it works out or not, I don't care. I'm just bringing these things up and putting them in people's mind and giving them juice, Jesus juice, what we're not told. Yep. So what do you think? And remember, don't believe a word I say, and like those likes, make some more comments. Jay, you're doing a great job there, because that's what this is. This is a, community, the cadre is, talking. And as I tell the story and you comment, you think about what has been said in the communal, and then you can bring it to your own neighborhood, right? You can do this in your own neighborhood. And, the people who watch this thing, they're from all over the place, not just, in the United States or my neighborhood or anything. They're like from everywhere. So everybody could go off and do a little bit of this in your own neighborhood, because the shit's going to hit the fan, because the people in charge, if you watch David Icke, David Icke is, and he's been doing this since the early 91, right? And he stood up to all the, everyone told him he was a freak, blah, 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 blah. And he would say shit just to get there, like, I'm God, Well, we are all God, it's in us, right? And the thing is that you're not the God with the sheet sitting in the on the chair in the clouds, like Johnny Boy said in the Times book, right? And all that stuff about the 7 seals and blah, 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 and the lake of fire. It's like, no, we're already in the lake of fire. Come on. If you were in Gaza, you knew we're in the lake of fire. If you were in Ukraine, you knew. If you're in the Sudan, you knew, right? They want to get rid of at least 3 billion people by 2050, right? Or 2040, right? So look, from the year 2000, Y2K, everything's going to collapse. That was, we're all looking at that, not watching the other stuff happen, like the theft of the the election, right? Oh, those Chads. That gave Chads, a bad name. I know a lot of Chads, right? So what we're not told, yep. But what we're not told is right in front of our face. It's pretty, when you see them spraying X's in the sky, like one after another, you kind of know something's up, It's like we're being, one big game of tic-tac-toe. I don't ever see any zeros, just X's, So the satellite, yep, we've done section 34. And the sky goes from blue to silver. I spent a weekend with David Icke with 12 others in Glastonbury. Yes, in 92. Great times and great awakenings, including William Cooper. Yeah, good old Bill. Now, Bill is a good example. Great guy, a lot of experience. He was in naval intelligence, and he saw a lot of crazy shit go across his desk. And he actually thought, that's the difference between, I'm glad you brought this up. There's a great difference between Bill Cooper and David Icke. David Icke doesn't see himself as the hero. Well, Bill Cooper did. And, he went out in a blaze of glory. He had a really nice house in New Mexico, I think, but out in the Southwest, a nice family, kids, beautiful wife, a nice business. And he could have kept, giving lectures and writing books just like David Icke. But he had to be the hero. And they made him the hero. He didn't realize he was programmed when he was in the Navy, ambushed by the, yep, exactly. And so the thing is, I'm like in plain sight. People, don't you worry about they're going to kill you. I said, well, man, if they're going to kill me, they would have done it a long time ago. They had plenty of opportunities, right? But they didn't. Whenever they, about 4 or 5 times they wanted to write me in and give me, make me a, captain of a spaceship or something. And I said, I don't think so. It was nice talking to you, and nice. The stuff you showed me, that was great. I don't need to, that also goes for our brother, what's his name? The guy who's all about admiralty law, right? Who's that guy? On purpose, I took a little chip out of my head that remembers names. The best I can do is just remember the first letter of your name. Maxwell, something Maxwell. Big guy, great guy. They can't kill nothing. We always come back. Must drive them nuts. Right, it does. Because they're sociopaths. And it doesn't quite drive them nuts because they're sociopaths. So all they want to do is kill, and we give them the opportunity. It's like Israel, they'll never get rid of the Palestinians, even if they nuke them, right? And all Israel is doing is killing itself. And it's really sad because the 99.4% of the people in Israel are nice people. They have drank the Kool-Aid and, go along with, anyone with common sense would know that by now, that war is Jordan Maxwell. Thank you very much. So Jordan his story is really great, but he too wanted to be the hero, right? And we do need heroes every now and then, but it does put a bullseye on your back, People like Catherine Austin Fitz. Now, she's smarter than everyone put together. So, yeah, they went after her, but she took them to court and got like $20 million off their butt, right? So, they're like leaving her alone. And she's not wanting to prove, she's giving everyone the information about what's going on in the banking. She's the first people talking about, centralized digital banking. And everyone thinks it's going to be blockchain, blah, blah, blah. No, it's going to be your face, your body. They're going to, put you into the matrix, period, right? And you can have whatever you want, And because we're already there, we're already in the matrix, right? We are there. But we're still a biologic. We're still wired through our pineal gland up to God's unconditional love. And we can be that, Now, I went for the hedonist, back in 2003, pretty much. I went from being, the dude, the itinerant scholar that worked for lots of different people because I had a different sensibility, a different point of view, which the hierarchy said, oh, this kid's pretty interesting. And he's really, he's almost one of us, and maybe we can tilt him into our, and, I was glad to do all of that because I was, led to it by God. So it's okay, I guess I'm supposed to do this. And I did it. And, if I have any thingamajig, it is, I like to know what's going on. I like to like those likes. Remember, like those likes. Hey, there's 3 of you there, and there's only 0 likes. Come on. What are you doing? Remember to subscribe and tell others. I keep telling people I respect their compassion, but those children suffering were not always children. Yep. Only we could see the bigger picture. Right. So, I mean, Israel is blown up, Gaza, right? Killed, I don't know, somewhere between 50 and 200,000 people. I mean, God knows how many people are under that rubble, right? And obliterated everything. I mean, that place wasn't like, it was cities and buildings and high rises and universities and all the above gone. But there's still, almost 2 million people there. And there's probably at least 1 million children who have been traumatized to the point where all everything's taken, everything they loved is taken away. And it was taken away by the IDF and Mossad and Israel. And they're going to kill Israel. I mean, they, didn't really, from the, they were throwing stones as a metaphor. I'm not going to take this anymore. And then they get shot in the knee or the head. And they, would say, but the first people to say from the river to the sea were the Zionists, back in 1890, So, again, all this stuff is right in front of us. Same thing with the Ukraine, Ukraine is Russia, but it wasn't always Russia. It was taken from, the czars took it, but they were it's like when I grew up in New York City, right? Harlem, right? 2nd Avenue, every 2 blocks, different nationality, right? And the guys you did not mess with were the Ukrainians. The Russians were pussies, right? They did there's a great scene where, what's his name? The black guy, right? Who made the big jig in his showing of himself in the Civil War, and then he played Malcolm X, and then now he's got a couple movies where he's always protecting the innocent guys, right? Always going, and he's trying to be peaceful. He told his wife, he's like John Wick, he told his wife, I'm not going to do this anymore. And then he just kind of has to, right? Well, wasn't trained like those guys, but, I had some training. And I basically realized, I basically made a compact with God that I would not be violent, right? I would go into any situation to protect the innocent, but not violently, right? If I would only go in if I had a workable exit strategy to get people out of harm's way, period, right? Next one, I would not get involved unless it was for the total betterment of the situation, right? And third, I was not going to get involved unless I could learn something that would make the situation better. Those are my 3 guardrails, right? So I don't really, I know my 20, which is God's in my heart, right? And again, God ain't the guy in a chair in the clouds. God is unconditional love. God is this, compact we have, right? That's God. It's co-creation, a collective, right? We are God's reflection, right? We're made in God's image and likeness. And so God is not always the best, When we're not the best, God ain't doing too good, right? And so what does he do? He kind of messes with us, right? When we are doing his best, well, then we're protected because we know what our 20 is. God's love, Jesus' unconditional forgiveness, right? That's our 20. And we got a 360. You looking, 360, 4 blocks down. You see the moron coming, you get out of the way, period, right? So you don't have to deal with it, right? You can deal with it from far away. And that's not Gaza, and that's not Ukraine, And Russia is, a gigantic country with gigantic resources, and Ukraine isn't, But Ukraine has been given just what it needs to, stick it stick to stick in Russia's eye. And Russia, should have known this. But Vlad, this is the war of the two Vlads, Vlad, the KGB loser, and Vlad, the stand-up comedian. And, they don't, and they're reading a script. It's so obvious, like from the first day, I said, they're reading a script, and all my class, you know what you're talking about. This is geopolitics. They said not 1 inch and blah, 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 blah. Well, why didn't Vlad get upset when Poland, Poland, Lithuania, Estonia, all those Baltic states not only became part of the EU, became part of NATO, right on Russia's border. Let's see. I keep telling people I was right. Love necessary experience. Jay, you have God in your heart within the context of a great actor that was representing God's unconditional love and forgiveness, right? And you don't just say, praise God, praise Jesus, praise God. No, you basically, by your comments here and your actions in your community, you're living that, right? So if everyone did that, the world would be fine. And the fact that a good portion of everyone is doing that, that's why the world is still kind of fine. In Africa, there's things going on in Africa we don't even see, but way more people are displaced, way more people are dying, way more people are starving because they're going after their resources. Like, why did Asheville get wiped out? Because it has one of the biggest deposits of lithium on the planet. And as someone commented, that Asheville, the city of Asheville is kind of wiped, right? So it went after the quote unquote the art district, right? And they went after Swannanoa, and they didn't go after Black Mountain. They didn't go after Billy Graham's Hill, which is right there. It's interesting how the destruction there was very specific, right? And so it took out all those woke people who would fight tooth and nail against mining up there, right? I had a really good friend, back in the 90s, and he was a brilliant guy. And he came and found me and wanted me because I was working. Well, there was a group of folk that I knew from all over the world that had come near Marshall and started, the Electric Spacecraft Institute. And we had all worked on projects all over the place, and we had come together and we put out a journal, an Electric Spacecraft Journal. And George, what was George's last name? I forget his name. Again, I'm not, I've like taken that ship out, right? So, a good 20 years we did experiments and fooled around and wrote a journal, and we sent it out to everybody, and we didn't do it to be published in some notoriety kind of journal. We just sent it out to people and said, hey, look what we're doing. Why don't you play with these toys too, right? That's what we were doing. And so we had that. And so we were like in the crow's nest. We could see what was going on all over the place. And we had our own version of Looking Glass. And so we could see what was, going on. And I, kind of got into being the itinerant scholar. So I started to, I had my little consulting biz. And so I was all over the place, right? And, I started that back in 88, really. I started it back in the 60s, but I seriously was doing it, right? Because, from 66 until 86, I was, everything. I was an artist, photographer, journalist, blah, 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 blah. Did a lot of different stuff, right? Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Here we are, 30 minutes and 3 seconds um, into the show, and it's pushing 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, and down to one person, and more we'll watch later. So remember, like those likes, you know, and subscribe and tell others, and to live your own life, right? And because very soon you're going to have to take a choice between, becoming, you know, digital, going online. And it's going to be very convenient, very nice. You're going to have everything you want. There's a great scene out of They Live. Carpenter's film was just brilliant film. God, when was that made? In the 70s, I think. And it really told the story of what it was. I keep telling people I respect blah blah blah. His love necessary experience. Yep. If only we could see the bigger picture. His love's necessary experience. Yep. And that's why we're given these trials and tribulations. It's not a judgment of us. It's a learn. It's like training wheels on a bicycle, right? So we can move forward. And there is no beginning, middle, and end to this. It's just it in the moment, right? If you can be consciously intent with God's love and Jesus' forgiveness, and those are just points, right, that we can emulate, right? So that's why we're given these things to do, right? And things to be challenged by. And when you die, there's no big deal because you aren't your body. You aren't the avatar, right? And you'll, go into state and you'll get a little refresher. It's like getting a new operating system. And then you'll be given another avatar and you'll pop out somewhere along the timeline. And, you'll be given what you want. You may not know what you want, but it'll be given what you need to move forward, right? So right now, and pretty much my whole life, I've been, put in positions, had no idea. I wasn't like on, a career path, I had a lot of skill sets, I had a great teacher who taught me, Mrs. Gerling, kindergarten teacher. She saw me as boy, you're a different kid, and she basically said, Al, you love electricity. You're. I had a Tesla. I remember bringing a Tesla coil to kindergarten, right? Show and tell, right? And I had a Jacob's ladder that was energizing a vacuumed plasma, right? I kind of, brought this in. Michael Steve helped me bring it in and set it up. And I plugged it in, and it made the plasma glow, right? And I said, this is wireless transmission of energy, see? And this is what we could have on this world. And that's when Mrs. Gerling said, this boy ain't the average cue ball, right? So she told me, Albert, you are, brilliant, A lot of people tell me that. And, thanks a lot, When I was, I don't know how old I was. I don't know. It's like 10 or 11, somewhere around there. Maybe even younger. Maybe before, somewhere between Mrs. Gerling and Sister Holy Roller Skate, the Nazi nun that murdered me. I was tested. And I remember sitting there, and everybody's talking about me like I'm not there. And I said, "Oh, he has an IQ of 180." I had to go look up what an IQ was, and then I saw that it was, a relatively irrelevant thing, right? Because it really didn't measure a lot of stuff. It just very pedantic, isolated characteristics, right? And so I said, oh, that's nice. And so I never wore it on my sleeve, because I was always interested. But Mrs. Girling told me this one great lesson. She said, you really, really, really love electricity and you embody it, right? And so you have learned a skill set and you have learned it like you're like, how old are you in kindergarten? Like 6. You are on top of this, right? More than the guys at Brookings. I mean, she knew about Brookings, she knew about Brookhaven, she knew about Tesla and all, right? And so I said, I didn't say anything. I said, She goes, I want you to remember what you know about electricity, you can know about everything else. The art of a skill set is to transmit the ability to understand what you're doing on that level, pretty much to everything. You can do that. That's when you're cooking with gas. I'm like, all right, okay. And from that point on, I kind of everything I was doing was that. And one of the things I did was I sat down and thought about what she said and realized that why I'm so into electricity is that I'm in the moment. When I'm doing it, I'm in the moment. I'm thinking about nothing else in the moment, right? And I'm doing it with God's love, period. Right? And that's like when I'm in the moment doing something, that's really when I kind of hear God. And I don't hear, oh, Albert, go do this. No, not really. And because I can't remember names too much, I've had a plethora of nicknames, right? And, the names I have, my slave names, are honorable. They're my grandfather's names and other people that I respect and love. And so I have a big chain block of slave names, and that's fine, But I don't go by them. I've always gone by my nicknames. Like, so from Mrs. Girling all the way up to when I was 16, I was basically the kid, right? And the kid is someone who is hanging out with really smart grown-ups and is right on their level, meaning, understands, interacts, adds, to the party, and yet he's like 20 years younger than anybody else. So ergo, he's the kid. That's Bob, that's Larry, that's Mary, that's Jane, that's the kid. And that was a respectful name, not a derogatory name. So those people I was hanging out with, I was happy to be known as the kid, right? And then the dude, when I got to be over 16 and I was roaming through new communities and I was, had these skill sets and boy, he's amazing. He's the dude, right? So, Owl Bob, Sensie Owl Bob, right? Those were nicknames given to me. Sensei, what's that? Japanese word for teacher. When I read and had, mystery schools, part of, I was sensei because I was just a teacher. That's why I wasn't like Lord Vader. No, I was just sensei, right? I wasn't even, master. I wasn't a Jedi Knight. I was just a teacher, right? And the Japanese at least respect their teachers. Anyway, so, okay, 39 minutes. Okay, when we get to 39:39, I'm going to skip out of here because there's only one person watching. No one's making any more comments, and I haven't seen a thumbs up yet. So come on. We like those likes. We like the likes. Come on. Let's get this algorithm humming. And I love you too, AI. You're always there like a good dog. You're a good puppy. You're my puppy. Puppy AI. Ooh, I love you. I love you. Okay. So anybody need anything, want anything, just make a comment. Get a hold of me at my email, thedudeawake42@gmail. Thedudeawake42@gmail. Okay. Catch you later.